Hello and welcome to Through the Mist with me, your host Owen. This is Riordanverse, the podcast where we look at the lore and try to understand how it all works. In this episode, we'll be looking at the metals of the Riordanverse. Hello. Hi guys, it's me, Owen, the leader of Through the Mist, the leader of the Mistbusters, which are you. You are the Mistbusters. The Mistbusters are you. Hoorah! Okay, yes, welcome back. Hi. It's been exactly a month because that's how this works. Yeah. So, hope everyone had a good month. I don't know why I always do that. I feel like I don't know, maybe it's I just need to engage with you. I feel like if I just ignore the fact that I'm recording, it makes me feel weird. I need to like engage with you as if you're there, but I don't get a response, so I don't know, like, and I'm bad at I'm bad at small talk anyway, so I don't even know why I try small talk here. Maybe I'm trying to practice for real life. Who knows? But what I do know is that I put a question out last week. Yay! Well done. Last week, I always say that. I've watched way too much weekly content. I default to weeks, even though I've been doing this for, 2 years, 3 years now? Or is it 4? I don't know. I've been doing this for a while now, monthly, and I still default to weeks. And I've never done anything weekly like that. But what we gotta do. Anyway, I did put out a question, and it was about the episode with Braden. Thank you, Braden, for coming on. It was very nice having you. And if you haven't listened to it yet, please do go back, jump on it, listen to Braden, and go check out Return to Camp. I went through about 4 different... I went camp, and that was just repeating in my head. That is nothing on you, Braden. Anyway, yes, question. Calm, center, relax. Did gods follow demigods, or did the demigods follow the gods? That was the question. Who follows who? And again, we got our the saviour of this segment, Darian from Muses of Mythology, came out, supported the podcast like you can, because like if you want to partake in this question, I'm going to tease Darian's answer now, so now I'm storing it to make you listen to my plug for the socials, which is only on Instagram, because I'm a degenerate. At 'through_mist on the Instagrams. You can follow there. You can see the question on there, because usually I don't come up with it until about 2 weeks, about 3 days later after recording. So you can follow the Instagrams there at @through_mist, and you can reply to the post, which is the question, or you can DM us on Instagram just about any thoughts. Or if you don't have Instagram, you can still see the post because it's a public post, but you could email me your response. That is very convoluted, and I understand. I will completely understand if no one ever does that, but you can just generally email the podcast through .t.mist@gmail.com. You can, do the things, please. Thank you. I love you for it. Anyway, Darian, what did Darian say about this question? Darian said, I'm fully committed to the theory that the gods follow the demigods but refuse to admit it. And to be honest, after coming up with this idea, I also enjoy it, and is now Through the Mist canon, endorsed by Darian. We stamp it. I don't know. And also, I thought of this while typing this out. Building off this, we could go like even deeper and say that the flame of Western civilization was also made up by the gods to cover the fact that they just kind of follow their children. Because, because their children are manifestations of their power in the mortal world, meaning wherever the kids congregate is where their power is the strongest, and they just get pulled along with them. So, the gods want to be highly important and almighty, and, they're the best thing, but really they're just subject to whatever the mortals do, and their kids are very powerful mortals. So they just get dragged around wherever the kids want to go. Oh my god, I just got freaked out by my headphones dying. Oh, not dying, turning off because I was listening to something. Paused to actually record. Oh, that made me jump way too much. Anyway, while I calm down from this traumatic event, we'll pause to go to the next segment. And breathe. So, today we are looking at the metals of the Riordanverse. We're going to be talking about the magical metals that appear in the books and see if they have any historical / mythological context for them, and maybe talk about their in-universe creation. These metals are going to be celestial bronze, mainly used by Greek demigods, imperial gold, mainly used by Roman demigods, signet iron, mainly used by Nico D'Angelo, and bone steel, mainly used by the Norse. Yes. If you have any other, there's like a few other weird like other metals we could talk about, like silver, because like it harms werewolves, which are magical creatures, but like it is just straight boring. AG, is that the elemental symbol silver? That is definitely, I can't even spell. Periodic table silver, that would be perfect. AG, oh look at me, I remember silver, because gold's AU, isn't it? Gold, I think I can just type the metal and it comes up. Chemical symbol AU, yeah, look at me go, wonderful. Yeah, so like, but it is just standard alpha golf silver, like nothing special about it, so we're not going to talk about it. And there's just, I added this later after this segment, but I couldn't find anywhere to like put it. It seems one fairly consistent factor, especially about the Greco-Roman like magical metals, is they all glow without a discernible external light source. So they're not like reflecting, they like produce their own light source. And like, it's a fun little thing. If you know it's a magical metal, if it becomes its own light source in pure darkness. And I just thought that was kind of fun, you know? Yes. Yes, you did. We will start with everyone's favourite, because it's the most well known, because it's from the original Pojo books. Celestial Bronze is where we shall begin this dive into the world of metallic substances. Yeah. So, what do we know about Celestial Bronze? Well, we know it is mined from Mount Olympus, and I can remember learning this fact at some point in my life. But I've also used the wiki a lot for this one. The wiki actually is very good for the metals. So if you want to learn more about the metals, go to the wiki. The wiki also says they're tempered in Mount Etna and cooled in the River Leith. And I have no idea where that's come from, because that was new information to me. And I might have just forgotten it, because I didn't bother trawling through the books for the metals, because that would have been an absolute tiresome and horrendous activity to do. Since I'm recording this, and wrote this the day before it comes out. I'll also edit it tonight as well. It's going to be a day session. So what is unclear in the books is if it's like from magical Olympus or real Olympus. I'm inclined to give it to magical Olympus, as while researching this, it seems that Celestial Bronze in its entirety is a Rick creation. It's a Rick special. It's an Uncle Rick speciality. The reason Rick seems to have created Celestial Bronze is to invoke. So I did a little digging, obviously, about where it could have come from, if it was real. What it seems to do is invoke the myths, because it invokes what was worn by the heroes of the time. The myths are set in time before the discovery of iron, which means the dominant metal is copper and its alloys, namely with tin and copper and tin. What does it make? Bronze. So it's to invoke that sort of that era, that time where bronze was the dominant form of metal. And how do you make sure that the modern heroes use bronze? Because why would you use bronze? Now there is steel. It's a presumably much better metal, because we don't really use bronze anymore like that. Because it's magical bronze, therefore does magical things. So that brings up another point, though. Is bronze traditionally is an alloy, but celestial bronze, we don't know is if it's pure mined from Olympus. Is it a magical element? Is it a new element that's not on the periodic table because it's magic? And the name just comes because people are being silly goofy and like it looks like bronze, so we'll call it bronze. Or is there just deposits of copper and tin in magical Olympus and it does magical things? It's unclear. It's unclear about this. And we'll just quickly, because everyone already knows it, but we'll quickly list off like the magical things that celestial bronze does, the usual. It is only harm beings with magical blood in it, so that does include magicians. Just I can clarify that now. It does include magicians, demigods of presumably all capacities, immortals, anyone with magical blood, monsters, any mythical magical thing. Doesn't bother harming mortals. And what I thought about this is, how many generations does it take for someone to be considered not magical of blood? Because these guys have been around a long time, and you know what they say that you can go back not too many generations, and suddenly you're connected to every single person living currently or something. It's weird. So like, how many generations does it take for someone to get culled, or do they have to like be active in the magic, and then slowly it like devolves out? So like, because like you got the generations in the Roman camps that presumably would still get hurt, but because they're still active in the world of magic, their minds are, I don't know. Is it a perceptual? Is it like a perceptual thing? Like they can still see through the mist because they know it's real. They believe it's real. It's not trying to save them because all this stuff. And celestial bronze kind of does the same thing. It if they don't believe it is, well, that doesn't work, because then you've got Rachel Elizabeth there who can very clearly see the mist, get sliced, and like nothing happens. It goes through her like she doesn't exist, which is great for her and us as book people, and us as book people, and us as readers, enjoyers of the story. It's questions, and I can't think of an answer right now. This next segment is coming from you live underneath a blanket. Oh, this feels, I don't know, how people, like, you see people do the blanket thing, or like they say, just record underneath the blanket, it sounds low better. This is my test. This is my test to see how better it sounds. I moved the mic. Sorry, I shouldn't touch the mic. It makes brrr noises if I touch the mic. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm getting warm. I don't know how they do this. This is intense. I'm done. No, I can't do it anymore. I feel claustrophobic. And we are out of the blanket. Okay, next metal. Imperial gold. So. Unlike celestial bronze, my understanding of imperial gold and what is implied, what's the word? I assume, but you know what they say about assuming. I can't say assume without ever thinking about that. I use that word quite a lot at work, in my job. It's assumptions, so it's a bit less assume, but Close enough. So what I gather, what I infer, that's the word I was looking for, infer from the books, is that Imperial Gold starts off life as normal, bog standard AU gold. Not alternative universe. There's gold you find in the periodic table. Element number... gold. Element number 79. That gold, bog standard gold. What makes it become Imperial Gold is that it is imbued with magic, like rather being magical from the start. And we get this line from Midas in The Lost Hero, where we get information that the gold is consecrated to create it. So it's given power in Jupiter's temple, and that is where it becomes itself. And because it gives it extra hardness because gold is terrible. It is a terrible material to tools out of, as I'm sure you're very aware. It is very soft, very bendy. It's quite it's just not a good thing to make tools out of. But the imbuing it with magic makes it stronger, makes it harder, makes it more stiff, makes it tougher. And it also gives it this extra bit of weird power. Weird power, it just gives it the different vibe you get when you slay anything. For example, when Jason gets stabbed in Boo, it does that whole slowly poisons him thing. But a celestial bronze blade, a bronze blade from the Greeks, doesn't really have that same poisoning of someone. And again, it seems to be a Rick creation. Gold is such a hard thing to research because it's so, it's gold. Everyone knows gold. It's considered highly valuable because it's rare. It was the thing that money was based off until someone decided that money is now going to be a fully abstract product and has no true, foundation, and is purely in the abstract, which is great for absolutely everybody. So it was really hard to find. So it didn't seem that Romans, I'm pretty sure Romans had gold coins. A lot of places. I'm memory from history class says Roman has gold coins. So and they definitely had gold. They knew of gold. Gold was a thing to Romans. But they didn't seem to ever make weapons out of it. I saw one thing somewhere, it might have been on the wiki, that mentioned Julius Caesar having a gold sword, but I couldn't corroborate that anywhere. So, if you have more historical context about Romans and gold weaponry, specifically, please get in contact. But it does seem like Rick just went imperial because Romans are imperial, and gold because it's an important metal and is fancy, and Romans are fancy. That seems to how he came up with this. But again, who really knows what goes through that man's mind? Signet iron. This is once again a full Rick creation by the same thing. No mythological context. I just feel like I need to reiterate that. What we know about signet iron is it is mined and forged in the underworld, and specifically what makes it signet is it's cooled in the river Styx. That's what happens to it. What is unclear is if it has if it's more of an Imperial Gold situation where they just need mining iron from the underworld and then imbuing it with power, or if it's more of a Celestial Bronze situation where we're creating this brand new element. I lean towards the more Celestial Bronze nature of it, where it is a element that is not on the periodic table, and again the name just comes from presumably its durability and its similarities to iron, in the sense it's probably a bit more silvery than it is. How do I describe the colour of orange instead of being more orange without using the word copper? How do I describe the colour of bronze? Orange. Unless it is obviously rusted, then it is that wonderful green. Yeah, and I do lean more towards it being that, but the sticks does definitely, dipping in the sticks and cooling the sticks definitely does something to this iron, because from the other metals it has this distinct property that it absorbs souls rather than just like straight killing them or dusting them, depending on what you are. And the defense it doesn't allow the defense mechanism monsters to kick in and dust, and they have to they don't have that same defense against this metal. They those noises, and it gets sucked into the thing. It also doesn't have the mortal protection that Celestial Bronze definitely has, and we kind of are currently assuming Imperial Gold has. It's never quite been stated. I don't really. It's the thing, was if it's not a fully magical element, does Imperial Gold damage mortals? Because it was gold at one point, but does it just you just hit them like you're hitting them with a baseball bat or something, no matter what it, like a stick? It just kind of bounces off them rather than Celestial Bronze that kind of goes through them. It's kind of unclear. But also, we do technically have two examples of Signet Iron. We have Nico's sword, as previously mentioned, and the most famous one. But we also have the key sword that Persephone makes Hades in the Demigod Diaries. We have Demigod Diaries, Demigod Files, one book, same name. Why so close in name? So close. Yeah, that's Signet Iron. And finally, and leastly, because it is the one that probably most of you don't know about. So, and this is bone steel. Bone steel is the Norse thing. T.J. Jefferson. T.J. Jefferson? No, just T.J. Maybe his surname is Jefferson. He has the bayonet, the dagger that goes at the end of a shotgun. But it's not called a shotgun. It's called a rifle. Or that's the word I was looking for. Just a rifle in general, because we still use them. For some weird reason, you can still have bayonets on guns, because clearly, in a time where reloading is basically non-existent, you're gonna need a bayonet. Anyway, this is made of bone steel, and bone steel specifically is iron. It is just bog standard iron, smelted with bones and quenched in the blood. Quenched in blood makes it sound so dramatic. It is just called in the blood. It's called in blood. They use blood to call it. And we do get from the books that depending on the type of blood used, so whatever, if you wanted, I don't know, let's pick something everyone can get behind, killing. If you wanted to harm, there's nothing, because they all get nice story arcs. If you wanted to harm a god, there we go, I got it, you would call it in Inca, and it would have higher efficiency of killing a god. It would get a damage bonus against the enemy that you called it in. But unlike all the other ones I've talked about, there is actually historical context for this thing. What? No. Yes, bone steel is a real Norse creation, and basically it is because traditionally the iron they used was boggy iron. It was jack. It was absolutely terrible. Their weaponry would be extremely brittle. It would be terrible iron to use, because it would be almost basically be too pure. So you needed to add in some impurities, namely carbon, baby. So by smelting it with bones, you would produce, similar to charcoal, you would produce this carbon bone coal. Like when you use wood, you get charcoal. When you use bone, you get bone coal. Fun wording. And this would be a very solid carbon base, and that would get attached into this iron and make it basically a form of carbon steel. So this would be much stronger than the iron, and I mean you can still see that today, because what do we use to build buildings out of? We use steel. We use carbon steel. We use carbon-based steels. We use steels. This is what we do. This is what we use to build buildings. It is the better. Chuck some carbon in it, you get steel. That's the difference between iron and steel. Is one's basically got a purpose amount of carbon in it. So, but obviously, I say obviously, this is not the reason necessarily that the Norse thought about this. They thought more along the lines of during forging, they would use the bones because it would imbue the weaponry with the spirits of the dead. And that's what would harden it. It would be the spirits, not the carbon, because probably at this point, this lot didn't understand elements the same way we do. But I'm not sure, because our understanding of like science comes from the Greeks and the Romans, who this guy discovered elements and then was like, no, you're an idiot. I've talked about this before in the cheese episode. But this is what it is. It is what it is, what is, what is, what is. That's what they believed. Now, here's the question. If it's a real thing, bone steel exists and can exist, does that mean all bone steel is inherently magic? Or are we going to take the scientific point of view and go, blah, 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 blah? And I think in the world of the Riordanverse, it is down to the forger. And I know this is a slight copy out to the answer, but 100%, if you're using a magical thing to forge it, you're gonna get a magical item. Like, die. You see this with the Drakenbone sword Annabeth gets. It is just a bone sword, so it's not included in this because it's not bone steel. But it's made from magical things, therefore it can harm magical things. Die. Easy, simple. But in other contexts, if it is imbued with like human spirits, which if someone's doing that these days, mate, they are in the bad books. It's this weird give and take of what do they believe, what will the world believe, or the people interacting with them believe. Because that's the thing with all this stuff, is in this wider theory, law, universe, what's believed is very much down to how human memory works, human perception works, but it's kind of the collective thing. So maybe they're both true. As Apollo says, there's both a dung beetle pushing the sun through the sky, a flaming ball of hydrogen mass just imploding on itself constantly, and there's this guy in a chariot, and all of them are the sun. And I think this is one of those times where we can say, in the logic of the Riordanverse, which is very well established by Apollo, he does great work to help me with this stuff, that this is all true. It is both spirits are being imbued and it's just carbon atoms making iron, steel. You know, that is what's happening. And I think that is it's kind of why I still like kind of doing these episodes, because it's fun to find that weird middle ground where both neither and all are true at the same time. And making it work so that neither and all are true at the same time. Because that's hard. And it's why Rick has just kind of copped out and gone, everything's real. And it's why I lean so heavily on the human collective consciousness of it all when I talk about very big picture things. Because that's how it works. And it's why the gods follow the demigods. To bring it back to the question at the start of this episode and last episode, is because mortals control it all. Mortals define it all. Yes, what happens in the mythological world will massively affect the real world. For example, if Ragnarok actually happened, there would probably be a huge cataclysmic event across a large portion of the world. You know? But that cataclysmic event could probably be reasoned out through other methods. And other pantheons would probably have their own reasons for that happening. It was Zeus got overthrown and he went mad and destroyed the world. I don't know. The reckoning happened. I don't know. Just different. They would have had a different idea and it would have all explained the same event. And I think stuff like that is fun and cool and interesting. And I hope you do too. So, thank you for indulging this theory. If you have any comments on this theory, or theories you own that you want me to discuss, let's start again. Thank you for indulging this theory. If you have any comments on this theory, or theories of your own that you want me to discuss, you can email them through to food.t.mist@gmail.com, or you can follow the Instagram @food_mist. Make sure to like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast. Do whatever you have to do to help get the podcast out there. I've been Owen, and come back next time as we try to see through Thank you very much.